as the influence of the new characters on the old ones. Season 6 sees the main quartet graduate from high school and attend Pembroke together, which lends itself more to the coming-of-age narrative, given the number of complications they must now face. Underage drinking was one thing, but that was a high school issue, and things don't get any easier here, as the cast inches closer and closer to adulthood. With all that said, let's jump right back into Boy Meets World and review Season 6. The season opens with his answer and her answer, a two-part follow-up to the proposal cliffhanger that Season 5 left us on. And right off the bat, we're dealing with one of the most adult topics one can ever discuss, readiness for marriage. And it's a great way to start the season, mainly due to how Alan and Amy have ever-shifting reactions and responses to the situation. But through it all, they never try and sugarcoat just how big a step these two are taking, all while helping of a legal union. But they end up doing the right thing and holding off until Season 7. The college setting in general proves to be a daunting new frontier for our characters, but primarily for Corey, as the pressures of school and social life alike create episodes all their own. This even prompts Feeney to come out of retirement very early into the season, which eventually sees him as an instructor once more. The others go through their own significant struggles too, as the season progresses, but before any of that, we get an episode called Everybody Loves Seward, featuring Ben Savage's brother Fred as the title character, and a slimy one at that. So much so that I'm convinced he must be Charlie Gardner's father. It would make perfect sense. Basically, it handles the issue of a student-teacher relationship and how much distance should that relationship entail. Things go south in a hurry, and you can pretty much guess the rest. But, if nothing else, the silver lining here is that Seward serves as an interesting contrast to Feeney. Everybody loved Seward until they saw his true colors. Conversely, it took a lot more of a learning curve before the main trio, and eventually Eric as well, not only took to Feeney's lessons, but depended on them. This is a point more directly highlighted in Girl Meets World by Corey himself, where he teaches his class about how quick and easy things come, then go just as fast. But the truly important things have a lasting impact. So far, we've gotten some interesting peeks into college life for the friends, as well as some zany stuff from Eric, which is as good a time as any to bring up Rachel. She's a nice character, but she's almost exclusively used in this season as someone for Eric and Jack to fight over. Not exactly something I'm overly fond of. And even when her and Jack enter a relationship later on, nothing really comes of it. The buddy cop movie kind of dynamic that Eric and Jack share always provides us laughs, but I don't think Rachel added too much to the overall show outside of just being there. And maybe that's partly why she's the only main character to never get a Girl Meets World return. I still think that was kind of a missed chance, especially in Girl Meets Texas, since Rachel does have connections to Texas that the show briefly touches on. And if Lauren can have a son, why not her? You all know what's coming next, so gear up as we board the field train. 7 of the next 8 episodes, this show will hurt you. It all starts with a little boy named Tommy, who is part of the underprivileged children that Eric helps with Christmas presents. An awesome moment for Eric, going overboard in the way only he can to create a Christmas miracle. But then, things get serious in a hurry when Tommy asks Santa Eric for a new family. My heart sank. This leads to Eric wanting to do the right thing, and ends up spending a lot more time with Tommy. But then, we get to maybe the most resonating episode of the entire series. Chet comes back, stating that he's here to stay this time. In the middle of trying to rekindle his relationship with his 2 sons, he suffers a heart attack. The event presents Sean with an important realization about how his inability to emotionally connect to people is in part tied to his anger at his father. It's a major step in the right direction for the at times directionless Sean, and with more time, maybe the two find a way to continue repairing the damage. With more time, maybe the deadbeat dad becomes a true father figure. With more time, maybe the Hunter family can truly reconcile. But, unfortunately, they ran out of time, as a second heart attack claimed Chet's life. Later episodes, including one Girl Meets World episode, would depict Chet as a ghost assisting Sean through certain decisions. I can see how the show's choice to essentially bring him back for a few moments could be a point of contention for some, but I think those moments really worked. It's a nice visual for Sean using what he remembers about his father to guide him. Except for that one time in Season 7 where it operated more like a ghost dad gimmick, and that concept has never, ever worked. But the train keeps chugging, even with Sean leaving to find himself. Next stop, the arrival of Josh Matthews, a blessing that quickly becomes a nightmare once the doctors inform the Matthews family that the premature Josh may not survive. Watching it really caught me off guard, because I didn't remember Season 6 before rewatching it, and we've seen Josh as the strapping college kid he becomes, so I never had any reason to suspect that his life started with such complications. But the episode still presented the idea of family and priorities very well, and we get some of the best Amy Matthews acting moments in the process. Also that ends well though, as Josh is finally healthy enough to head home to the rest of his family. But it ain't quite over yet. as Eric now has to deal with the decision to adopt Tommy, something he really wants to do, but realizes he can't sacrifice Tommy's potential happiness for his own. That, and Eric still isn't self-sustaining at this point, so his choice was a heartbreakingly responsible one. And it goes back to one of the better Season 4 episodes, Uncle Daddy, where Eric wanted to stay in a relationship with a girl who had a kid, but she called it off. Here, we see Eric growing again, because this time, there is no girl. It's Eric and Eric alone who needs to realize what the situation is and do what he thinks is best. And, as we know from Girl Meets World, the kid turns out okay. Pretty potent stuff, all leading up to the largest of challenges in the realm of Cory and Topanga's relationship. She learns that her parents are going through a divorce, which forces her to question how Cory and herself could ever last. It's the perfect way to capture real-world problems now more than ever. The passing of parents, adoption, marriage, the future in general. Not as much focus on those topics in previous seasons, but all of the previous 5 built these characters up to the point where they could take that next step and handle these advanced challenges. The 5 episodes I would say are the best from Season 6 in order from 5 to 1 are Can I Help to Cheer You, Road Trip, State of the Unions, Resurrection, and We'll Have a Good Time Then, with an honorable mention going to Her Answer for being a well-executed and well-acted episode on all fronts. These episodes best represent the non-linear progression of Season 6 that works in its favor, and that's because the idea here is more about how life can come at you fast, and it can take things away from you in the blink of an eye. In any other show, Chet's death might have been a season finale, but I think it makes more sense that it happened right in the middle of everything, and then Josh comes along almost immediately after. But more than anything, these episodes will make you feel something, and that's what this season, in its entirety, does better than any season prior. Does that make it better than the others? Well, let's discuss. Season 6 is a very important season, arguably the most important season in terms of giving the characters barriers to break through. But, just like with Season 5, there are some relatively lower points as well that feel superfluous in the grander scheme of things. Look no further than an entire episode based around matching the premise of The Truman Show. A fun episode, yeah, but a pretty absurd one all the same. But that actually works better here than it did in Season 5 because of the emotional tenor. There's more of a purpose for those kind of tonal shifts because Boy Meets World is a sitcom and not a soap opera, and by balancing those elements, the resonating moments actually become more affecting as a result. And, just like in Season 4 and Season 3, Season 6 beautifully starts and ends with similar topics pushed forward based on what the characters have learned in between. Cory and Topanga are rushing to get married right after high school. They thought they had all the answers, but now, the divorce of the Lawrence parents has her and Cory ending the season with nothing but questions. And the complications of being engaged do have their own spotlight episodes in the season as well. Speaking specifically about Sean, it's easy to see Boy Meets World as shorthand for Cory Meets World. But, just like with several key episodes from Maya and Farkle in Girl Meets World, the original series elevates itself to some major peaks when Sean is the one being focused on. Everything he's been through, all the paths he's chosen, all the obstacles he's overcome, all come to a head in this season. It all builds to the central struggle that has defined Sean for almost his entire life. Who is he, and what can he do to defeat his rocky past to build a better future? This show has always known exactly how to handle Sean Hunter as a layered, nuanced, and extremely complex character whose trials and triumphs help make Boy Meets World as exceptional a show as it is. But just how good is Season 6? Really, really good, and arguably a top 2 season from where I'm standing. At its best, it's just like having to watch Riley Town, except now there are several episodes that feel just like that, if not worse, and then there are episodes that deal with the implications of those events. Pretty heart-shattering stuff. And when it's the second to last season, these kind of gut punches right to the feels hit even harder. We know these characters so well at this point, and we've seen all the main characters grow up and mature in so many ways right before our eyes. So it's now when their pain would most likely be shared by the audience, if not before then. And as I get to real adulthood, requiring everything the cast has learned in seasons past before we say goodbye in Season 7. And speaking of which, when the Boy Meets World reviews return for the final time, we'll take a look at the parting season and discuss just how good it really was. And of course, thanks for watching.
Well, I'm here. What do you need? Tell me, what can I do for you?
Do you think I can have parents